And you want to be able to spend most of your time and most of your effort creating value based on your A's, because your A's are what the world needs. So there's this quote I like by Howard Thurman, and he says that don't ask the world what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, because the world needs people who have come alive.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack Podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs to increase your leadership, teamwork, and profits. This is your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22.
What are the things that energize you the most? You feel alive when doing it. And when you feel alive, you almost like when you're doing that task, you look forward to that task. Then while you're doing it, wow, time goes past really fast. You get into this thing called the flow. And when you understand that, when you finish that task, you look back, hey, I want to do more of that. So your emotions play a great part in understanding how you navigate what are strengths that you have and what are some of the things that you maybe not using your strengths.
I'm going to expand on that a little bit and say there are some business owners who are now wondering, okay, this is a revelation for me. There are things I now recognize, maybe more than 3, maybe more than 4, that I would have to delegate and pay someone to do it. Now, here's the problem. And that person screws me over because I don't know a lot about the job, because I don't want the job. It drains me. I pass it on to someone who is not that trustworthy, maybe doesn't have that much integrity. I hired the wrong person. What's going to be the solution for me then? How do I do it right?
Yeah, so that's a $1 million question. That's a timeless question. Whenever I help leaders to build teams and all that, that's the same thing. How do I hire people that I know? After 5 interviews, for example, do you really know the person? You actually don't. So it's a lot of times, even when you think about the business partners or the staff that you've had, right? Some of them leave and all that. And I think the main thing is really that whole idea of try and error. You can't run away from that. You can't run away because people are so complex. You try to understand them in that one interview is impossible, right? So the idea of this is really the idea of getting to know a person. The same thing when you're dating, you don't say that, okay, after that 1 hour interview, I think I know you. I think I know you well. Let's get married, right? Impossible, right? There must be a way we can go through that. And unfortunately, for the work context, that's actually a contract where you come on board and then you work with me. And sometimes that dating ends off with understanding, hey, you know what? I think you're not right for me.
Got
So
it.
that's something that we cannot run away from as business owners.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It would serve you, at least at the get-go, when you don't have a lot of people, don't have a lot of proficiency in hiring, if you learn and work first, even on those weaknesses, even if it drains you, you have to have a certain level of proficiency for you to be able to tell this person's cheating me. This person's telling me it takes 2 weeks for this task to finish, but it only takes like 2 hours. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, especially when you're in a small team. So if you're doing a startup in a small team of 4 people and then you're doing something that kind of like you have your hands dirty on all, you're able to do that. But if you go into the higher up where you're hiring so many different people doing different tasks, very different tasks, it's impossible for you to understand everything. So one thing is that, yes, one of the things that we share is that the weaknesses you have, we don't ignore it. Ignoring it's almost like what you said, giving everything to that person and trusting them fully. But actually, when you know about it, no man, dude, it takes 1 week. Why are you saying it takes 3 weeks, right? So there's one way where we need to build the F's that we have into at least a pass, into a C. You just pass. You know, kind of like the 50% of what's happening there. But for you to bring it to an A, it takes so much more effort. Whereas if you're a leader or business owner, there's certain A's that you have that you put in that time investment, can put in that development for you, that A's become 100A and you get close to this whole idea of world class. So you got A's to 100 A's and you got F's to a C. So this is basically almost like understanding the basics, the 101s, but here you're in the masterclass. And you want to be able to spend most of your time and most of your effort creating value based on your A's, because your A's are what the world needs. So there's this quote I like by Howard Thurman, and he says that don't ask the world what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, because the world needs people who have come alive. So that's the thing. The A's that you have, those are the things that make you come alive. And when you think about this whole idea of entrepreneurship or business, it's really value. You're trying to create value for somebody. And the greatest value you can create is knowing that, hey, you are built for certain things. You are at your dominance. You're at your zone. You're eagle, you're flying, you're ostrich, you're running, you're penguin, you're swimming. There's something innately natural that pushes you even further. And when the effort comes in, and when there are times in business where you feel like, oh, it's really down, I feel like giving up. These are the things that you feel that, hey, actually, there's a greater purpose. I'm built for this. I somehow can revive and fan that flame, that motivation, that intrinsic motivation that, hey, I'm built for this. Somehow or other, I can create better value.
We're going back a little bit to the eagle, the penguin, and the ostrich. Let's apply this to leadership. As a leader, I love it when my people who are eagles get to fly. I love it when my people who are ostriches can run, right? When they can do what they're made to do, what they love to do, what they get energized with. Now, as a leader, here's the thing. How do I identify that they are meant to do this and that? Because people want to do what they want to do. They want to grow and flourish where they want to be in, but they're not always going to tell you that. And they don't always recognize that they're eagles. They don't always recognize that they're penguins or ostriches. So how do you identify that? And then how do you lead them to be more of that?
So that's a great question. And when I coach many directors in MNCs and business owners, there's one question as well. How do I understand the strengths so that I can deploy them better? Most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, managers will deploy based on this. They'll ask this certain question. Are you good at it? You're good at it? Okay, great. That's one box. Do you have experience? Your experience? Oh, 5 years? Okay, great. That's another box. So your competency becomes the only competency and experience. So I would put that together as very much competency, the only benchmark. So if you're good at something, I give you the task to do it. The funny thing about this, if you think about it, Sean, there's some things you do that you do quite well that you hate doing. It drains the heck out of you, right? And that is the trap that most leaders fall into. The assumption that the leader will make is that, Sean, if you're good at this, I would dare say that you like it, but that's not true. So we have a framework called primal greatness, where we actually break up the entire work that you have into 4 quadrants. And the y-axis is competency, high competency or low competency. And the x-axis is what we talked about. We talked about this whole idea of are you energized or are you drained? So if you break down all the tasks that you have, the first task you think about, you break it down to, do I feel energized or drained, and do I feel competent or not competent? You get a very beautiful 4 quadrants where there's tasks in everything. And what a leader needs to know is that the leader needs to know, hey, you know what? There are things that energize you and things that drain you. I want to try to focus on the things that energize you on the right-hand side. So if I understand that, then most likely there are things that energize you that you're not competent in, which is the lower quadrant. But there are things that energize you that you are competent in. What I want to do as a leader is to understand that, hey, you know what? You're competent in it and you feel alive doing it. I want to give you more opportunity. So those are the strengths that you have. Those are the things that I will say that I can depend on you. And you feel that, yeah, I want to work on this. So one of my team members said, yesterday I was doing it until 10 p.m. I enjoy it. So that is the kind of thing that you want, the intrinsic motivation. The eagle is flying. Then what do you do with the things that they feel energized with, but they're not competent? Then you grow them. You grow them in development, knowledge base, knowledge, skill, and time, basically. What about the other side where everything is draining, right? You find ways and means that they can actually lower that. So if they're very good at something already, but it drains them, they have all the knowledge base inside their mind that your organization needs. So ask them to teach it. Hopefully they can teach it to other people that feel more energized doing it. The assumption is that you have a team, right? And then the last one is that actually, if you feel it strains you and it feels that, wow, I've tried it and I'm still not competent. For me, Excel, it takes 2 hours. For Bill, it takes only 5 minutes. Then there's somewhere where you want to try to see whether you can minimize that. So the idea is always that quadrant on the top right-hand corner that you want to expand that a little bit. It won't be 100%. Because there's definitely things that at work that we still need to do that drains us. But we want to expand that out and we want to be able to give them more and more opportunities. So the eagle sometimes must run because, it's a short distance. Maybe there's a ceiling on top. They still must do these kind of things, right? They must carry a package and then they must run. But most of the time, the eagle is flying.
Amazing answer. Amazing insights so far. There is something in my mind that some leaders who are listening in, they might have the same little insidious idea popping in. And that is, well, that's all great, Jason and Sean. That's all great. Do I have to pamper my people that way where I would minimize tasks they don't like? What are they, snowflakes, and just give them what they want? Why is it my job? Why is it my job as a leader to do that? Where's the ROI in that? Do I get to benefit from that? What do you tell those kinds of people?
There are two greatest fears for managers. One greatest fear is that your high performers leave. And the other greatest fear is your low performers stay, right? The issue that you have is you have people, you already trust you, they already come into your organization. What you want to do as leaders is that, hey, some of the low performers actually are high performers, but you don't know that. You haven't given them the opportunity to. So the ROI, when they actually do that, it's going to be great for you because now you already have them and you are able to give them that opportunity. So when it comes to high performers, you want them to be ultra high performers. You want them to know that there are some things, the eagle has certain weights that's pushing him down. And if you can take away those weights, he will fly even further for you. So it's not so much of that we want to do this because of them, but it's more of that if you talk about the business sense, if you think about it as a sports coach, you don't want to put a striker as a goalkeeper, even though they can. And you never want to put a goalkeeper as a striker. What you want is performance in the end. And the performance, if you are in a parcel, let's say you are doing a parcel delivery logistics, you have only 3 people, an eagle, an ostrich, and a penguin. You want to be able to know that, yes, the eagle can do small little distances here and there, but the 5 mountains there, that's him. The penguin has to go really long and all that. So it's really about the idea that you have a limited resource of money, you have a limited resource of talent. You want to maximize that. If they feel that you can unleash or you can discover what their strengths are, they're going to stay longer. And this whole idea of your high performers leaving, because you know what? I'm doing what I'm not built for. So I've got so many case studies, and when I coach clients, and so one of them is the Ministry of Education in Singapore. One of them, they were saying that one of the leaders said that, Jason, help me out. I have no clue what happened. One of my guys are so good at what they do and they just quit. I have no idea. And the same thing. So when I dig further and further, that task that he's supposed to do, 0 to 10, energize and drain, 2 upon 10. The more he did that, the more everybody clapped their hands to say that, well done, good job. Everybody liked it. The more he was drained and drained. So he left and he was very confused. And he was just like, how can a high performer like him leave? Because everybody thought he was good. Everybody thinks he's good at it. He also knows he's good at it. But his inside is empty. So having that strengths-based approach to your organization and your leadership is going to be a win-win. That means you have people who either low performance or mid performance, you can bring it up to high performance to ultra high performance, and you get to keep them because why? They're living out their best. They're living out what they feel most alive doing.
Jason, do you suggest that we do that X and Y axis for our organizations to figure out as early as now who among our people are on the same boat as the guy you mentioned earlier, who's very competent at what he's doing, but is very drained inside?
You actually naturally get the feedback. And that feedback is either 2 ways. One is that they somehow tap out in their mind. They tap out in their mind or they tap out physically. So you already have that feedback, right? If we take away pay, right? We take away that let's assume that you actually do industry practice, right? If that is off the table, then what do you need? You need 2 main things. You need to understand the environment and understand what they do. And what they do is really the idea of that, hey, that strengths-based approach. And if it's something that is really draining him and he's really a great team player, the onus is on you. The whole responsibility for you as a leader is to understand that, hey, this guy has great attitude, but somehow or other, I want him to be at his best. And you try to figure out that. So it's a whole idea of not trying to be fixated. Like, this is your job role. You come in, you only have to do A and B. Do not do C, do not do D. But it's almost like, hey, actually, I want to understand from you. Yeah, you're great at that, but what really excites you? What really energizes you? Because once you have that, you are tapping into this intrinsic motivation. It's almost like it's a spring from inside. It's always there. It's always there, and they really enjoy it. And you see it that even after work, they think about it. You will never get that for things that drain you. They'll start work at 9, they'll end work at 6 p.m. Something switches off.
Yeah, oh man, you said it. Don't we have too much of that already?
Oh, hey, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications so that whenever we have a new video, you're going to be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading.
We decided to scale up because the need was there. It's not because I just decided to do it. The need was there. We had to hire more people because we were getting more clients, which we can't turn down. The question you have to ask yourself as an entrepreneur or as a leader is, will the world be worse off without me?